And now, our final video tribute of the evening, Keith Jarrett.
The genesis to actually being a jazz player came from my desire to change notes in other people's music. So Mozart, I would be studying and playing a piece, and I'd say, I don't really think this is the exact right voicing for this chord. And when I first heard jazz, I realized that it was almost like expected of the player to find those notes that were his. When I'm out there and there's just a piano, it's like my body knows exactly what to do. It's just like my left hand knows how to play. And if I tell it what to play, I'm stopping it. It's this. Not only am I stopping it, but I'm stopping it from playing something better than I can think of. This is like being oversaturated with input. And it actually comes through your entire body. And people ask me, you know, why I make the noises I make when I play. Anybody in their right mind would try to find an outlet somewhere. So, you know, like if something's really happening, the passion just takes over. Audiences think I don't like them. But the truth is, I need them more than almost any other performer that comes onto the stage in front of them. I just need them to do a few simple, you know, easy things. Try to concentrate. The principle in this trio has been the same from 1983 to 30 years later. It's been exactly the same. It's the sidemen that have the freedom. The leader is always the leader. I wanted to be my own sideman too. I thought, okay, I have these two wonderful players. They're gonna know what to do. What if we just start playing? And the only way to do that would be either totally free playing or music we already know. There is an amazing amount of music that was never played. What I'm seeking is that. This music that's in the air that is ready to be played at all times, you know, that's why I show up at a concert.
To say a few words about Keith Jarrett, I'd like to invite up to the podium Kenny Barron. He's going to read a letter from 2005 NEA jazz master George Wein.
I had the pleasure of meeting Keith for the very first time backstage after 50-something years. So, anyway, this is from George Wein, and it says, Keith, I am truly very sorry. I can't be here to make the NEA Jazz Masters presentation in person. I just got back from the foot doctor, and it's very difficult for me to walk. I wanted to say that this award is long overdue. You're one of the true masters of the piano and fully deserve this recognition. I first heard you with Charles Lloyd's quartet, and you were already a master, as did I. And quite a few years ago, you shared a double bill at Avery Fisher Hall. Then it was Philharmonic Hall, which might have been Thelonious Monk's last public concert. You acknowledged Thelonious musically in one of your most beautiful sets I ever heard. I will never forget it. I was even going to have a little fun with you and say that at your concerts, a good cough never goes unheard. Keith, again, I apologize, and I am proud to present you with this distinguished award, NEA Jazz Masters.
Well, I don't need any of these. Let's see. It's a lot about education. I don't need any of that. Music is not something you can use words to describe. Music is either in the air and you find it, or it is in the air and you don't find it, but you just don't try hard enough. You can be educated to play the piano, you can be educated about chords, you can be educated about scales, you can be educated about everything there is to do with music, and you are still zero until you let go of what holds you back. And all of us could possibly not be held back, but most of us don't let it happen. My job, in my opinion, is to let it out. But I don't believe that there's any rules. There are no rules. So you need to, gather a bunch of stuff together, and then you go, sorry, what does my left hand do best? Well, why don't I ask my left hand? That's what I was trying to say there. I didn't realize that for a long time. But anyway, you've heard too many words tonight, and I would really like my message to only be music cannot be expressed or delivered in words. Education is one thing. I don't believe there are masters. I believe there are students. Some students work harder than others. In jazz, the narrative is what carries the music forward, and the narrative is the players playing. And that's what, if somebody hears I could name too many people, I don't want to choose one out of the list. If you hear something and it changes you, it's because what you heard was someone who became an innovator, and they became an innovator by hard work on themselves. Not so much work on the instrument. If I get students and I ask them what they want, they usually say, I want to play like you. And I say, I can't teach that. I don't want to teach this. Do you know how many chiropractors I need? You know I carry my own mattress with me on tour? Why would I teach anyone to kill themselves? You have to be crazy enough to feel it and do it, and not even notice that you're doing it. So I teach someone how to jump up and down on stage, or I teach them how to move in a strange way and hold their hands completely wrong and screw up their body. I have a film of myself playing with Charles Lloyd, and I can see what my hands are doing, but I can't see my head. My head was whipping around at such a fast pace that, even the film is just a blur. It's not a head. Okay, so I wish I had only a few words to say. I was going to say something about my mother. Okay, let me do that. And I'll never take 45 minutes of your time. I'm going to guarantee that I will not take 45 minutes. When I was 2 years old, I played on the kitchen table with celery sticks. So my first instrument was the drums. Then I ended up with a drum set and eventually found myself playing to the Ahmad Jamal White album because there was so much space in the music. I could actually, I didn't mess with it. It was just hanging there beautifully. But okay, when I was 2, I did the celery stick thing, and my mother discovered at also the same age that I was playing along with melodies coming from the radio, and she thought, well, this is strange, and found a teacher who would teach a 3-year-old. But if I had asked her, Mom, I want to be a jazz master when I grow up, she would have said, you can be anything you want. Now, my father would have said, why would you want to be a musician? Musicians can't make a living. And in fact, he did say that. He did say that until finally I was well known and he saw that I was making a living. But then he said, you don't have insurance on your house? Yes, I said, well, but Dad, that's just like me, isn't it? Okay, I'll get insurance. So I got insurance. But my mother's saying that you can be whatever you want to be. She was the liberal in the family. My mother and my father was a conservative. I have to give her credit tonight because 5 minutes before I left the house, she's 94, 5 minutes before I left my house, I gave her a call. And she still sounds like a kid. She's unbelievable. And so I thanked her, and actually I wanted to thank her in front of people. My father is not alive now. So back to the music for a minute. Jazz is a narrative. It goes from one player, how many tenor players suddenly sound like Coltrane after Coltrane dies? Every single one for a while. It's like they're trying to be this guy. No, that isn't what Coltrane would have wished. Coltrane would have wished they learned to be themselves. I think he used to get to the gig early and practice for hours before they even started to play. And all this is really wrong of me to continue talking because the first thing I said is correct. The music cannot be anything but itself. You can't actually, I went to Berkeley, I got kicked out of Berkeley. Let's see, does that make me a potential jazz master? No. I had a trio that was made up of dropouts from Berkeley. Oh, that's a bad sign. That means education and Keith don't get along very well. And then I got fired from my first job with the trio because somebody came up to me and said, can you play something bouncy? I thought that's what we were doing. I thought it was pretty bouncy. But I got fired, and before I was fired, we had one last night in our apartment, the trio, and we were playing anything that made a sound in the apartment and recording it. So it was like avant-garde brooms and wastebaskets and garbage cans. And it was a moment I won't forget. And neither was the getting fired thing because it was so beautiful. It was so beautiful to be fired from that gig. That wasn't what I was meant to do. How I got out of Allentown, where I was born, many gifts have been given to me, and I've accepted them one at a time,
as they came, and I'm just lucky. I'm lucky to have said, okay, I'll accept this, I'll take this, I'll do this. And now I'm busy thinking of how much there is to transform in music and how mediocre the world can become. The world outside of music is becoming a bunch of screens. People are becoming used to I can't say bad sounds, but they're used to, they don't know what they're listening to anymore. Back when there wasn't so much media, I mean, people went out looking for a musical experience, and they'd go to a record store, and as in my case, luckily the New York City Public Library rented records. And I heard every composer, every musician that I never heard of, I rented from the library. And the last thing I'm going to say, I hope, because I can talk 45 minutes now that I think about it. As a matter of fact, I thought in the beginning, before I came here, I thought, I got about 45 ways to come at this. And if I start with one of them, it's going to connect to the rest of the 44 ways, and it will never stop. So I forgot actually what I was going to say. Hey, that's very good though, see, because if you're about to play a chord, if you're about to play a chord that you're familiar with from the past, and you've heard yourself play it before, and that's when you forget it, that's perfect. That's improvisation. But of course, in real life, if you're saying something for the only time you get a chance to say it, and you forget it, it's not so good. Thank you all for staying so long. Have a good night.